Welcome everyone to CCC Book Club. Let's have a short. Let's look back into what we've read so far. So right now we've seen that Lobsang has into the Lama city. For those who don't know, Lobsang is the main character of the story, and he's entered the Lama city. He's passed the test, and now he's a llama. Like he's like a leader, and now we're going to see he just met the Chinese mission, and let's start from the. Now let's start. Here. This did not make me happy. I did not like telling others, except the Lama Mingedon, what I saw in colors and what they meant to me. In my reasoning, if person could not see from himself, then he was not meant to know. How does one say that to the head of the state, particularly to a head who was not a clairvoyant? To the Dalai Lama, my reply was honorable, precious protector. I am quite unskilled in the reading of fortune overs. I am unworthy to express an opinion. This reply did not get me anywhere. The inmost one replied, as one possessed of many special talents, further increased of the ancient art, it is your duty to say. You have been trained to say to the end. Now say what you saw. Honorable precious protector, these men have evil intentions. The colors of the overs showed treachery. That was all I said. The Dalai Lama looked satisfied. Good, you have repeated it as you told Mingya. You will conceal yourself behind the screen tomorrow and watch when the Chinese are here. We must be sure. Conceal yourself now, and we will see if you are adequately hidden. I was not. So attendants were called in, and the Chinese lions were shifted slightly, that I might be entirely concealed. Hamas came in rehearsal as if they were visiting delocutation. They had tried hard to locate my hiding place. I got a thought of one. Promotion for me if I could see them. But he did not get a promotion, as he was looking on the wrong side. Eventually, the inmost one was satisfied and called me out. He spoke for a few moments and told us to come visit again. As the Chinese delegation was going to visit him in an attempt to force treaty upon Tibet. So with that thought before us, we took leave of the inmost one and wended our way up the Ivan Mountain. The following day at the Ivan Mountain, at the 11th hour, we again descended to the rocky slope and made an entrance to the inner enclosure. The Dalai Lama smiled upon me and said I must eat. I was ready for it. before secreting myself. And at his order, some very palatable food was brought to Mama Mingia Dondop and me. Considables from India in tins. I do not know what they're called. I only know they were very welcome with change with tea, sampa, and tuna. Well fortified, I was able to face the prospect for several hours, immolity more cheerfully. Utter immobility, immobility was a simple matter to me. To all lamas, we had to keep still in order to meditate. From very early age, from 7 years to be precise, I have been taught to sit motionless for hours on end. And a lighted butter lamp used to be balanced on my head, and I had to keep in the lotus attitude until the butter was finished. This could be as long as 12 hours. So now 3 or 4 hours impose no hardship. Directly in front of me, the Dalai Lama sat in the lotus attitude on his throne, 6 feet above the floor. I and he and I remained motionless. From the walls came horses, came horse cries, and many exclamations in Chinese. Afterwards, I discovered that the Chinese had suspicious bludgeons under their robes. So had been searched for weapons. Now they were permitted to enter the inner kosher. We saw them coming, led in by the household guards, crossed the caseway on a porch of the pavilion. A high engines. Oh, bunny, badaha. And the Chinamen, instead of repeating the same mantra as the courtesy, used the Chinese form. Oh, me too. 204. Masters, please excuse me if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. I really don't understand Tibetan or Chinese that much. Heal us, oh, meaning heal us, oh Mida Buddha. Amida Buddha. I thought to myself, no, well, Lobsang, your work is easy. They show the true colors. As I looked at them from my place of concealment, I observed the shimmering of the hours, the excellent sheen shot with murky red, the turgid swirling of hate-filled thoughts, and bands of striations of color, unpleasant colors, not the clear, pure shades of higher thought, but an unwholesome and unmitigated hues of those whose life forces were devoted to materialism and evil doing. They were whom we say the speech was fair, but their thoughts were foul. I also watched Dalai Lama. His colors indicated sadness. Sadness as he remembered the past when he had been to China. All that I saw in the inmost I liked. The best ruler of Tibet. He had a temper, a quite hot one, but his colors did flash red. But history record that there was never a better Dalai Lama who one who utterly devoted to his country. Certainly, I thought of him with great affection. Second to the only second only to Lama Mingedonda, for whom I felt more than affection. But the interview dragged on its useless ends. Useless because those men did not come in friendship, but in enmity. Their one thought was to get their own way, and not to be too particular about the maintenance they employ. They wanted territories. They wanted to guide the policy of Tibet. And they wanted gold. This has been a lure to them for years past. There were tons of gold in Tibet. We regard it as sacred metal. According to our belief, ground is desecrated when gold is mined, so it's quite left untouched. But certain streams, one can pick up nuggets which have been washed from the mountains. In Changtang region, I have seen gold on the swift sides of swift flowing streams, as sand is seen as the banks of orderly streams. We melt some of the nuggets or sand to make temple ornaments, sacred metal for sacred uses. Some butter lamps are made of gold. Unfortunately, the metal is too soft that the ornaments are easily distorted. Tibet is 8 times of the British Isles, a large areas, particularly unexplored. But from my travels with Lama Mingedondup, I know there is silver, gold, and uranium. We are never permitted Western people to survey, in spite of their feeble attempts, because of the old legend, where the men of the West go, there goes war. It should be remembered when reading of gold trumpets, gold dishes, and gold covered lies, that gold is not a rare metal in Tibet, but a sacred one. Tibet would be one of the great storehouses of the world if mankind would work together in peace instead of using useless striving for power. One morning, the Lama Mingedondup came to me while I was copying an old manuscript ready for the carvers. Lobsang, you'll have to leave that now. The precious one has sent for us. We have to go to Nobalinga together and see. We have to analyze the color of some forgener from the Western world. You must hurry to get ready. The Persian one says yes first. No scarves, no ceremony, only speed. And I gaped at him for a minute, then jumped to my feet. Clean room, Onamu Lama Master, and I am ready. It did not take long to make myself look passably tidy. Together we set off down the hill on foot. The distance was about half a mile, and at the bottom of the mountain, just the spot where I had fallen, broken my bones, we crossed over a little bridge and reached Linkol Road. This we crossed and reached the gate of Nubulinga, or Jewel Park. I sometimes translate it as it is sometimes translated. The gods were just about to warn us off when they saw that Lama Mingedondup was with me. Then their attitudes completely changed We were shown into the inner garden where Dalai Lama was sitting on a veranda. I felt a little foolish having no scarf to present and not knowing how to behave without it. The inmost one looked up with a smile. Oh, sit down, Mingal. And you too, Lobsang. You certainly hurried. You're certainly hurried. We sat down and waited for him to speak. He meditated for some time, seeming to marshal his thoughts in an orderly way. Some time ago, he said, an army of red barbarians, the British, invaded our sacred land. I went to India. From thence, I traveled intensely. In the year of the Iron Drug, the Chinese invaded us. As the direct result of the British invasion, I went again to India. There I met a man whom we are to meet today. I say all this for you, Lobsang, for Mingya was with me. The butchers made promises, and they were not kept. Now I want to know if this man speaks with one or two tongues. You will not understand his speech, and so you will not be influenced by it. From this lattice screen, you and another will catch unobserved. Your presence will not be known. We will write down your astral cover impressions as taught by our guide, who speaks well of you. Now show him to his place, Mingya, for he is more used to you than me. And I do believe he considers the Lama Mingya Dondip to be superior to Dalai Lama. To behind the lattice screen, I had grown tired of looking about, tired of watching birds and waving of branches of trees. Now and then I had supportous nibbles at some sampa I had with me. Clouds drifted across the sky, and I thought how nice it would be to feel the sway and tremor of kite beneath me. When the rushing wind whistling through the fabric of a humming of suddenly it jumped as there was a crash. For a moment I thought I was in a kite, falling asleep and out. But no, the gate of the inner garden flung open. The golden robed lamas of the household exhorted in most extraordinary sight. I was hard to keep with. I want to explode with love. A man, a tall, thin, white hair, white face, scanty eyebrows, and deep sunk eyes. Quite a hard man, but his dress, blue cloth of some kind, with a whole row of knobs down the front, shiny knobs. Some very bad tailor had made the clothes, for the collar was so big it had to be folded over. It was folded over certain patches on the side too. I thought the Westerners must have symbolic patches, such as we used in this imitation of wood. Pockets were meant nothing to me those days, nor did folded collars. In Tibet, those who no need to do manual works had long sleeves which completely hid their hands. The This man had short sleeves, reaching for only to his waist. Yet he could not be a laborer, I thought, for his hands looked too soft. Perhaps he does not know how to dress. But the fellow's robe ended where his legs joined his body. Poor, very poor. I thought his trousers were too tight in the leg. and too long for the buttons had turned up. He must feel terrible looking like that in the front of an enormous one, I thought. I wonder if someone his size will lend him proper clothes. Then I looked at his feet. Very, very strange. He had some curious black things on them. Shiny, shiny as they were covered in ice. Not boots of felt as we would wear. I decided I would never see anything stranger than this. Quite automatically, I was writing down the colors I saw, making notes of interpretations. Sometimes, sometimes the man spoke in Tibetan, quite good for Fortuna, then lapsed in some remarkable collection of sounds I have ever heard, English, as they told me afterwards when I saw the Dalai Lama. Again, so the Dalai Lama. The man amazed me by reaching into one of the patches on his side and bringing out a piece of white cloth. Before my astounded eyes, he put a cloth over his mouth and made a sound like a trumpet. Some sort of salute to the precious one. Salute over, he carefully put the cloth away behind his patch. He fiddled with the other patches and brought out various types of paper I had not seen before. White, thin, smooth paper, not the buff, thick, rough like ours, not like ours, which was buff, thick, and rough. How can someone possibly write on that? There was nothing to scrape away the crayon. Things would just slide off. The man took behind one of his patches a thin painted wood that looked like soot in the middle, which he made strangest wiggles I have imagined. He could not write, was just pretending by making these markings. Soot, whoever heard writing with a streak of soot? It would just blow on it, and I can see the soot fly off. Obviously, he had a cripple because he had to sit down. Obviously, he had a cripple because he sit down on a wooden framework which rested on 4 sticks. He sat on the frame and his legs over the edge. I thought his spine might be damaged because 2 more sticks from the frame on which sat he supported. Now I was feeling very sorry, really sorry for him. Ill-fitting clothes, inability to write, showing off by blowing a trumpet from his pockets. And now, to make it even stranger, he could not sit properly, but had to have his back supported and his legs dangling. He fidgeted a lot and crossing and uncrossing his legs. And one time, to my horror, he tripped on his left foot, so the sole pointed at Dalai Lama. A terrible insult, if by a Tibetan, but he soon remembered and uncrossed his legs again. The inmost one did have great honor to this man, for he sat on one of these wooden frames and let his legs anchor. The visitor had most peculiar name. He was called female musical instrument, and he had 2 decorations in front of it. Now I should refer him as C.A. Brown. By his all-red colors, I judged him to be poor health, probably living in a climate he was not suited in. He appeared genuine in his desire to be helpful, but it was obvious from his colors he was afraid to annoying his government and of having his after work pension affected. He wanted to take one course, but his government was not willing to. So he had to say one thing and hope that his opinions and suggestions would be proved correct by time. We knew a lot about this Mr. Bell. We had all data, his birth time, and various highlights in his career, which could plot his course of events. Astrologers discovered that he had previously lived in Tibet, and during his last life, he expressed the wish to reincarnate in the West and hope of it in assisting in the understanding of East and West. I had recently had given to understand that he mentions that in these some books that I have written, I suddenly felt like if he had able to influence his government in the way he decided, there would be no communist invasion of country. However, the forecast decreed there would be such an invasion, and predictions were never wrong. The English government seemed to be very suspicious. They thought Tibet was making treaties with Russia. This did not suit them. England would not make a treaty with Tibet, nor was she willing for Tibet to make friends with anyone else. Sikkim, Bhutan, anywhere but Tibet would have treaties, but not Tibet. Tibet could have treaties, but not Tibet. So the English became hot under their peculiar colors in an attempt to invade us or strangle us. They did not mind which. This Mr. Bell, who was on the spot, so that we had no desire to side with any nation. We wanted to stay on our own, to live a life in our own way, and keep clear of dealings of foreigners with foreigners who in the past had brought nothing but trouble, loss, hardship. Inmost one was pleased with his remarks after Mr. Bell left. He thought of me in the terms of more work. Yes, he exclaimed. We must develop you even more, Lobsang. You will find of the utmost use when you go to far country. We will give you hypnotic treatment. We must cram in all the knowledge we can. He reached for his bell and rang in one of his attendants. Mingya dawned up. I want him here now, he said. A few minutes later, my guide appeared and leisurely witnessed. No, not for anyone would that Lama hurry. And the Dalai Lama knew his friend and did not try hasten him. My guide sat beside me in the front of the precious one, and attendant hurried across with more buttered tea and things from India to eat. When we settled, the Dalai Lama said, Mingya, he was correct. He has ability. He can be developed even more, Mingya, and he must be. Take whatever steps you consider necessary so he can be trained quickly and throughout as possible as any and all of our resources. As we've been always warned, evil times will come upon our country, and we must have someone to compile the record of ancient arts. So the tempo of my days were increased. Often from this person, I was sent in a hurry to intercept the colors of some person. Perhaps I learned abbot from a distant laboratory or a civil leader who had remote province. I had well-known visitor to the Potala, and Norbolinga. In the former, I was able to use the telescopes, which I so I enjoyed. Practically one Stremogel model on a heavy tripod. With this late at night, I would spend hours watching the moon and the stars. Lama Mingya and I frequently went to Lhasa city to absorb visitors. He considered his own considerable powers of clairvoyance and his wide knowledge of people enabled him to check and develop my statements. It was most interesting to go a stall of a trader and hear the man speak aloud to praise his wares and compare them with his thoughts, which to us was not so private. My memory too was developed for long hours. I was listen to involved passages and then say them back for known periods of time. I lay in a hypnotic class while people read to me passages of our oldest scriptures. Masters, let's end it here. Now, next chapter would be The Secret of the North and Yetis. Let's read that tomorrow, everyone, and I'll stop sharing my screen. Can I have Mukund? Can you give me some feedback?
Good job, Joshua. Like you stopped at a good page because tomorrow I can continue and it's really interesting now. I hope Lobsang doesn't leave the place. My favorite part was he going to the Potala and then like observing that strange man.
I think it's pretty sad that no one else is here. Not a lot of people are here because we really wanted to hear Lobsan using the third eye.
Yeah. No, just sad it's not joining.
But it's because they have tuition on Saturday and Sunday. They couldn't join.
Okay.
Hetal, do you have any feedback for me?
Okay.
Hetal, hello? Are you there? Or any questions? Hetal, you're muted.
Oh, sorry, my internet was unstable.
Hetal, you're glitching. Okay, then masters, I'll stop recording now.